Welcome to this explainer. We have all absolutely been there. You open up your refrigerator looking for a quick snack, only to find a piece of fuzzy cheese, a slice of ham that's turned suspiciously brown, or maybe some deeply wilted lettuce. It's frustrating, right? And honestly, sometimes it's a little scary. So today, we're going to explore the actual science of food preservation together. We're going to find out exactly how we can transform our kitchens from places of total uncertainty into a secure fortress against food waste and foodborne illness. Let's get into it. So, why does our food actually spoil? To solve this everyday domestic mystery, we have to look at what's really happening. It turns out when you buy an apple, a steak, or a carton of milk, you're dealing with something that is biologically still very active. See, once harvested, butchered, or processed, these foods lose their natural defense and repair systems, but their biological components, they're still going strong. They are undergoing immense biological and chemical changes right there on your kitchen counter.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the secret life of food, followed by the danger zone and maintaining the cold chain. Then we'll decode those tricky dates like use by versus best before, organize your fridge, and finally figure out when to toss or keep.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the secret life of food, the invisible battlefield. So, the exact moment food is produced, a literal race against the clock begins. Your kitchen is essentially the final frontier in an invisible battlefield. And there are three main antagonists trying to ruin your groceries. First up, we've got microorganisms. That's your bacteria, molds, and yeasts. Next, we have chemical reactions. Think of a sliced apple, right? The moment oxygen hits the flesh, enzymes cause it to oxidize and turn brown. That is literally chemistry in action. And finally, we have physical processes. This is stuff like bread drying out or ice cream crystallizing in the freezer. And what's worse, these three forces very often work together to degrade your food.
Now, when we look at these tiny microorganisms, there's a pretty fascinating distinction. Molds are usually visible, like that blue-green fuzz on a clementine. And yeasts, well, they help ferment our bread, but they can totally ruin our fruit juices. However, bacteria are the true invisible villains here. While some just make food slimy or smell kind of bad, the dangerous ones, known as pathogenic bacteria, can cause severe food poisoning without changing the look or smell of your food at all.
Moving on to Section 2, the danger zone, understanding temperature. Because temperature is hands down our most powerful weapon against microbes. This right here is the critical window you need to look out for, 4 to 60 degrees Celsius. This is the danger zone. Inside this temperature range, bacteria don't just grow, they absolutely thrive. In fact, under ideal conditions within this zone, bacteria can multiply incredibly fast, sometimes doubling their population every 20 minutes. No joke. Leaving a hot meal out on the counter to cool down for hours is basically throwing a massive party for pathogens. It's actually time to debunk a huge kitchen myth right now. The idea that cold kills bacteria? Yeah, that's false. Cold doesn't kill bacteria, it simply puts them to sleep, or at least severely slows them down. You have to think of your refrigerator and your freezer as a pause button, not a magic shield. If a piece of food was already heavily contaminated before going into the freezer, it is still going to be contaminated when you thaw it out. And this brings us to a really valuable insight, understanding the difference between quality and safety. If your food smells bad or gets all mushy, it has lost its quality. But pathogens like Listeria and Salmonella, they compromise the safety of your food, and they are completely silent. Honestly, an incredibly appealing, fresh-looking slice of deli meat can still be a massive, silent health hazard if it's been stored improperly. You just cannot rely on your nose alone. Okay, Section 3, maintaining the cold chain. The cold chain is basically an unbroken line of defense from the farm all the way to your plate. Step 1, the producer keeps it cold. Step 2, the supermarket keeps it cold. But Step 3 is where it usually falls apart. That's the trip home. If you leave your groceries in a hot car, you rupture that chain. That creates a sudden spike in temperature, which leads to irreversible bacterial growth. And remember our pause button from earlier? Cooling that food back down in your home fridge in Step 4, that won't kill the bacteria that just multiplied in your car. Always use insulated bags and go straight home. Next up, Section 4, dates. DLC or DDM, which translates to use by versus best before. These dates on our food packaging tell us exactly when to fight and when to surrender. On European or imported labels, you'll often see two main acronyms. The DLC stands for the use by date, and it is all about safety. You'll find it on highly perishable items like raw meat, fish, and dairy. Ignoring a use by date on these invites immediate danger. On the other hand, the DDM is the best before date, and that is strictly about quality. It's for dry pasta, rice, canned goods.
A past due best before date simply means the food might have a slight loss of flavor or texture. But if the packaging is perfectly intact, it's generally totally safe to eat.
Moving to Section 5. Organizing your fridge, building the fortress.
Now let's look at your actual kitchen. Your refrigerator isn't just a random cold box. It is a highly strategic multi-climate fortress. Because cold air doesn't circulate evenly, you have different zones. The bottom zone, just above the crisper, is the coldest part, usually between 0 and 4 degrees. This is exactly where your highly dangerous raw meat and fish must go. The middle is for dairy. The slightly warmer top zone is for cooked leftovers. And the door, well, that's the warmest part because it opens and closes constantly. Please keep your fragile milk and eggs out of the door. Use it only for condiments. If you place raw chicken on the top shelf, you risk contaminated juices dripping down and ruining literally everything else. To maintain this fortress, you need to follow a few golden rules. First, never put piping hot food directly inside. It raises the temperature of the whole fridge. Let it cool first, but definitely get it in there within 2 hours. Second, use airtight containers to stop cross-contamination. Third, always rigorously separate raw foods from cooked foods. And finally, practice first in, first out. Basically, move older items to the front so they don't become hidden science experiments in the back of your fridge. Which brings us to Section 6, toss or keep, making the call.
We have all faced this everyday dilemma. How do we reduce food waste while keeping our family safe? Well, time is always ticking, even in the cold environment of your fridge. So, as a general rule, cooked leftovers should ideally be consumed within 48 hours to minimize the risk of bacterial growth. Now, for healthy adults, some things might stretch to 3 or 4 days, but for vulnerable populations like pregnant women, young children, the elderly, or anyone with a weakened immune system, you require a strict zero-tolerance approach. 2 days is the absolute limit.
And that brings us to the ultimate rule. When in doubt for fragile products, throw it out. Seriously, if you cannot remember when you cooked that chicken, or if the cold chain was broken on that fish, do not taste it to check. Your safety must always supersede the fear of food waste when dealing with highly perishable goods. So look at everything we've uncovered today in this explainer. From the secret microscopic life of our groceries, to mastering the danger zone, decoding the labels, and organizing a flawless cold storage fortress. The real question is your fridge ready for battle? I highly encourage you to walk into your kitchen right now, check your temperature settings, rearrange those shelves, and put these strategies into practice immediately. Stay safe, eat well, and keep on learning.